Now think about that. That was a speech called Opportunity Does Not Knock Once. I also maintain that what has got me everything I wanted in my life was taking advantage of opportunities. And one of the ways I took advantage of opportunities was to ask questions. So you are a very intelligent group. I saw it when I came down here. So let's see if I can spot a distinguished Toastmaster in the front row. Just about everyone. Okay, sir, you've got gray hair. You look like an intelligent person. All right, based on what I just did, and based on my formula, what do you think the premise of my speech might be? Remember, the title was Opportunity Does Not Knock Once. What would you think the premise might be?
You can create opportunities by asking good questions.
Pretty good. You win a prize. Great comedians talk about comedy. Thank you. Give them a hand. Now, with that talk, I can give the entire speech just on asking questions. Asking questions in the form of reflection, asking questions of people smarter than you, asking questions of your customers. An entire speech on that premise, all the different lines with the circles would be different questions. The book I just gave him was written by Larry Wilde. Larry Wilde is one of my friends that over 30 years ago, as a struggling comedian, thought if I had the opportunity to ask questions of the great comedians, what could I learn about my craft? And someone, a friend of his, introduced him to Ed Wynn. Ed Wynn then started introducing to other people, and he interviewed 30 of the greatest comedians, people like George Burns, Jack Benny, Woody Allen, Milton Berle, Johnny Carson. And I had a seminar where I interviewed Larry about the process. So naturally, I had to research his research, and I listened to the tapes. And I heard Johnny Carson. It took 3 years to get an appointment with Johnny Carson to talk to him. The Dalai Lama of late night television talking to an unknown comedian, and I heard him walk over and call his secretary and say, "Hold all calls," because of the quality of the questions. I heard Jerry Lewis say, "No one's ever asked me that." I heard Jack Benny say, "I don't usually talk to people because they don't interview me about anything I want to talk about." I heard Maurice Chevalier say, "I never talked to anyone this long." In fact, let us hear what Woody Allen and Johnny Carson said about material to Larry Wilde.
You see, it's not the jokes. This is the part that traps people all the time. Not just with me, I mean with anyone in the business. The great fallacy that turns out so many mediocre comedians and causes so much trouble. It isn't the jokes that do it. The comedian has nothing to do with the jokes. It's the individual himself that has it. If you take, it's not the material. When I first started, the same jokes that I did at that time that got nothing for me will get roars for me now, and not because I'm more known. They started to get roars for me before I was known. When it's the funny character emerging that's what does it. You can take the worst material in the world and give it to W.C. Fields or Groucho Marx, and it's just something that will come out funny. And the best material in the world in the hands of a guy who is a hack or doesn't know how to deliver jokes is not going to mean anything. I'm not saying that he won't get laughs. You watch the Ed Sullivan Show, you'll find a parade of comedians will get laughs all the time in a given situation, but the audience doesn't go away with anything. And then suddenly, a Nichols and May will appear, and we'll get as many laughs as all the hack comedians get, and maybe less. I've seen bad comedians break it up unbelievably, but there's some intangible thing that the audience goes away with. It has nothing to do with the material at all.
First of all, the most important thing to me in comedy, and I should say, it always sounds like such a dull discussion when you discuss comedy, I think is the empathy that you have to have for the performer. I think this is the greatest thing that a performer can have if he's going to be successful as an entertainer, is an empathy with the audience. They have to like him. They have to like him. And if they like the performer, then you've got 80% of it made. Bob Hope, people like him. They like him. They like Skelton. They like Benny. They like these people as people. And if you don't have that, it's damn difficult to get the audience on your side. If they resent you, or if they don't feel any empathy with you, or they can't relate to you as a human being, it gets awfully difficult to get laughs. Bob can walk out on the stage and people are laughing before he gets there. A lot of it is conditioning. There may be funnier men in the world who are quicker on the ad-lib, can say funnier natural things in a given moment. But I still think the most important thing is the likability, the rapport. And that again, is that indefinable thing that you don't learn it, you don't study for it, you don't take a course in it. It is either there in the individual or it's not. And I think that to me is the most important thing when I see comics performing on a stage. You can tell very quickly whether the audience likes them. Not so much as what they're saying, how they say it, how they relate to the audience. Are they just throwing out one line after another and saying, hey folks, here come the jokes? And interestingly enough, does the audience really dig him as a guy?
See, what they were saying, it's not the material alone, it is the empathy and how the audience connects and likes the performer. That is exactly the same with speakers. Roger Ailes, the media consultant for Bush and Reagan, said the silver bullet in business and politics is the like factor. How do they like you? So, the once upon a time technique, the foundation, you see, I started when I was 15, I went till I was 23, I went into business when I was 30. So it is the logical timeline through your life. Then another theatrical choice, excuse me if you are a Latin scholar, in medias res, which means start in the middle, or what I call the Rambo technique. How many of you love Rambo films? The rest of you are very deprived if you don't. But if you saw Rambo 2, the opening scene, you saw the back of his head, long hair, and he's tying around a kerchief. He's in a monastery, he's fighting, he's giving money to the monks. Now, what is the audience thinking? Answer the questions the audience have in their mind. What happened to him since the last movie? So then we go back to the end of the last movie, we catch up, we come to the middle, and then we go on with the movie. Very great theatrical choice. This foundation, this outline, this structure is perfect for what I call the I'm from headquarters and I bring you good news speech.